Class 5 Okeechobee County breeding heifers. Really a nice class here, and probably the most challenging class to sort through, and would love to have seen all 5 of these heifers live, maybe to kind of validate what I saw on video. I do think it makes sense to start with that April-born female. That red Brahman heifer I think is exceptional. On the standstill, a heifer that's really good looking, long neck, strong behind her hump, balances up tremendously well. And I think what makes her unique for a Brahman is the set that she has of that hind leg and the way that she reaches in an attractive manner and yet a functional way as well. A really good heifer to lead off with, I think. After that, it gets really competitive, and I'm going to go to the end and use that big gray, oldest Brahman female in this class. A heifer that has a lot of good pieces. I like the front end of that heifer. For as much mass and body and stoutness as she's got, she's still pretty long-necked and elegant and feminine in the front 1/3 of her body, tremendously opened up in her center rib. I think compared to an ideal and compared to her class winner, it's that hip and hind leg construction that sorts her to second, as she is a little steeper out of her hip. She's got a little extra set to her hock, just not quite as attractive in that regard. The heifer that's going to be third is that red Brahman heifer in the 4-hole, a heifer that on the standstill, really like the front 1/3 of her. She may be as long-necked and feminine as any heifer in the class. A heifer that's really long-bodied, a heifer for me that on the move maybe doesn't balance up quite as well. She's probably a little shorter strided. I wish she was a little squarer in the way that she handled from hock to ground on the go. Heifer that probably is a little on the fatter side compared to the heifers that are in the class with her. Some good in that female, maybe just not as good balanced there from the side, and could change that hind leg just a nickel. The heifer that's going to be fourth would be that kind of black and white skunk tail heifer there in the 2-hole. Heifer that's got a lot of weight per day of age and performance, very long-necked, very feminine, strong in that top line. That heifer for me has got a little more navel. She's got a little extra set to her hock, and maybe wants to funnel just a little bit from hip down to her base there when viewed from behind. But some good in that female as well. Rounded out with the March-born gray Brahman female there in the 3rd hole. That heifer probably sets the class standard for stoutness, muscle, and body. She's really opened up in her forerib, really deep in her middle, and it's got a lot of flank in her as well. A lot of muscle and stoutness when you step behind that female. For me, with that, she is a little coarser up front. She probably is the most opened up in her shoulders. She probably is the plainest up in her head and her neck. So I think that heifer, for as much mass and power she's got, I wish she had the extra attractive look in the front 1/3 of her body that the other 4 heifers in this class do. So tremendous class. One thing I would say is, these heifers are older than 2 years old now. Would love to see a calf at side at some of them in that class. But the placings for this class would be the red Brahman female, the April-born, in the 1st hole would be first, followed by the 5th heifer, the oldest gray Brahman. The 3rd place heifer would be that black and white heifer in the 2-hole. Excuse me, let me back up. The 3rd place heifer is the red Brahman in the 4th hole. The 4th place heifer is the black and white heifer in the 2nd hole. And the heifer that rounds out is the gray Brahman, the March-born, in the 3rd hole.